Jarso, a man from central Java, was born in 1963. He is a transmigrant who started his fortune by selling meatballs from village to village in North Lampung. It is unclear when Jarso began his debut as a wandering meatball vendor, but surely, due to his consistency, Jarso has become a vendor whose arrival is always awaited at certain times. He could be considered an idol. One day, Jarso was approached by a boy who appeared to have just come home from school as he was still wearing his elementary school uniform. His name was Muhammad Jaya Prathama. Jaya, who was hungry at the time, was tempted when Jarso opened the lid of his meatball pot and ordered a bowl of meatballs. Not long after Jaya sat down and enjoyed his meal, he realized that the money he had was not enough to pay for a bowl of meatballs. Upon knowing this, Jarso spoke in a slightly raised voice. Hearing Jarso's words, Jaya began to cry. Because he was short on money, Jaya was allowed to leave with the condition that he would return soon to pay the remaining amount. Finally, under the scorching afternoon sun, Jaya walked home while crying. Upon arriving home, Jaya told his father everything. Hearing this, his father felt bad and immediately rushed to where Jarso was selling. After meeting Jarso, his father asked what had actually happened that made his son come home crying. Jarso explained the situation, and finally Jaya's father gave him 100,000 Indonesian rupiah to pay for the meatballs Jaya had eaten. However, at that moment, with a less than friendly expression, Jarso refused the money and seemed indifferent to Jaya's father's arrival. Feeling insulted, Jaya's father spontaneously grabbed a meatball scoop and threw it. After that, he left the place. Is the problem resolved here? Apparently not. A few days after the incident, Jarso contacted his friend, Marsudi, who lived in Sukadana Ilir village. Marsudi was well known by Jarso and also knew Jaya's family. In the phone conversation, Jarso offered Marsudi a job with a reward of 1 million Indonesian rupiah, if successful. The job in question was a wicked plan to harm Jaya. Apparently, Jarso's grudge had not yet faded. Several weeks after that conversation, Jarso returned to his hometown, but before leaving, he met Marsudi and gave him 1 million Indonesian rupiah as a down payment. Jarso promised to give the remaining 9 million Indonesian rupiah after Marsudi carried out his plan. Marsudi accepted the money, and from that moment on, hidden threats began to lurk around Jaya. On January 26, 2016, around 9 a.m., Marsudi, a farmer, began his plan. He bought a packet of wafers and a toy, then waited for Jaya to return from school. That afternoon, Marsudi found Jaya playing in a place he often visited after school. Jaya was still wearing his red and white uniform. Marsudi approached Jaya and gave him the wafer and toy. The innocent Jaya accepted the gift without suspicion and thanked him. Marsudi, who did not immediately give the gift to Jaya, invited him to play with the toy he had given, pointing towards the sugarcane plantation. The innocent Jaya agreed, as who wouldn't like to receive a free toy from someone they knew? In short, they walked together to the sugarcane plantation. Along the way, Marsudi gave Jaya the wafer. Jaya loved it and quickly finished the snack. Upon arriving at a secluded spot, and when no one was around, suddenly Marsudi, who had been harboring ill intentions, punched Jaya with his bare hands. The punch hit Jaya on the left jaw, causing him to fall unconscious. After Jaya fainted, Marsudi dragged his body deeper into the plantation and then placed him in a hidden spot, covering him with dry leaves. At that time, Jaya was still breathing. However, Marsudi's plan did not stop there. After hiding Jaya's body, Marsudi went to visit a friend named Nurhadi. Coincidentally, Nurhadi's house was not far from where Marsudi had hidden Jaya. Nurhadi, who shared Marsudi's view, quickly agreed to his proposal. Nurhadi then prepared a rope and a sack, while Marsudi returned to get his motorcycle. Once all the equipment was ready, they went back to where Jaya was still unconscious. They then lifted Jaya's body onto Marsudi's motorcycle, with Jaya in the middle. They rode towards a dam located in the sugarcane plantation. During the journey, Jaya suddenly regained consciousness. Marsudi and Nurhadi panicked. The motorcycle stopped, although it was unclear who did it. One of them then injured Jaya's wrist, intending to incapacitate him. Once they ensured Jaya was immobile, they continued their journey. Upon arriving at their destination, Jaya's body was laid on the ground. Both seemed hesitant about whether Jaya was truly lifeless. To confirm, Nurhadi found a wooden block and struck Jaya's chest and head several times. After no more movement, they became certain that Jaya was dead. They then tied Jaya's hands and feet with the rope they had prepared earlier before placing him in the sack. After securing the sack, they hid Jaya's body back in the plantation. That afternoon, they parted ways and went home. However, before completely separating, Marsudi gave Nurhadi 500,000 Indonesian rupiah as part of the payment. The next day, around 4 p.m., Marsudi, still feeling unsure about Jaya's condition, contacted Nurhadi to go back together to the place where they had hidden Jaya's body. After confirming that Jaya was truly dead, they took the sack containing Jaya's body to the dam. At the dam, they threw Jaya's body into the water. However, to completely erase any traces, they tried to sink the sack, but their efforts failed because Jaya's body would not submerge. Finally, they hung the sack on the edge of the dam and then returned home. After being sure that Jaya was really dead, Marsudi contacted Giarso to demand the remaining payment. In the conversation, Giarso said that he was still in his hometown and could not return yet. He asked Marsudi to give the money to Nurhadi first, and later Giarso would reimburse him upon his return. That day, Marsudi gave his personal money to Nurhadi, amounting to 4 million Indonesian rupiah. Jaya's disappearance caused an uproar in Sukadana Ilir village. A massive search was organized by the residents. Marsudi and Nurhadi participated in the search, pretending as if they had no idea what had happened. A week after Jaya's disappearance, a plantation supervisor found something unusual at the dam. Curiously, he approached it, and to his shock, he discovered a decaying human body. This discovery drew many people to the scene. Not long after, the police carried out their duties. A crime scene investigation was conducted. Witnesses were called in, and with the help of tracking dogs, the police found evidence leading to the perpetrators. It did not take long for the police to identify the culprits. Eventually, Marsudi and Nurhadi were apprehended by the police without resistance. After successfully capturing the two perpetrators, the police also arrested the mastermind behind the crime, Giarso, who was taken into custody in his hometown. The residents, upon learning that Jaya had become a victim, were outraged that one of their own was treated so cruelly by residents of the neighboring village. This is where the riots began. Jaya's father, along with local residents, attacked the village of Marsudi and Nurhadi in Sukadana Ilir, North Lampung. At that time, the residents suspected to be from the neighboring village flocked to Sukadana Ilir. Some of them brought tools such as wood, metal, machetes, and stones, which they used to vandalize homes as an outlet for their anger. Not only did they destroy homes, but they also burned around 30 houses in the village. The residents of Sukadana Ilir, realizing their village was being attacked by unknown individuals, fled to save themselves. In their panic, they did not have time to take their valuable belongings, as they only focused on escaping. The tense atmosphere, coupled with the emptiness of the village, led some individuals to take advantage of the situation by looting the abandoned homes of the residents. Not wanting their village to continue being ravaged, several residents of Sukadana Ilir village began to resist in an effort to stop these actions. That morning, riots broke out in Sukadana Ilir village on February 2nd, 2016. As a result of the riots, 78 homes were reported damaged, ranging from minor to severe destruction. The unrest was eventually quelled after the police were deployed to the location. This incident left a deep trauma for the local residents. The incident attracted the attention of various parties and became national news in several media outlets at the time. This riot occurred simply because a street meatball vendor was unable to control his emotions when dealing with a child. His inability to manage his emotions, which was continually neglected, gradually turned into resentment. From that resentment, a foolishness was born that transformed a once peaceful village into chaos. In the end, the executors, Nurhadi and Marsudi, were sentenced to 20 years in prison, while Giarso, the mastermind behind this crime, received a life sentence. What are your thoughts on this case? What lessons can be learned? Write your answers in the comments. Subscribe, and see you in the next case.